Hello, and welcome to another episode. Today, what I'm going to cover is the shift that is required for you to scale your revenue as a soul nourished CEO. Okay. And it's not about doing more. All right. So let's dive into that, because doing more isn't what is going to scale you. And logically, sometimes that's what happens is you think that actually, if I could just get more time, if I could just duplicate myself, all right, and get more action in, I could scale this thing even more, right? But what I really want to talk about is the thinking, the shifts in your thinking that are required for you to scale without burnout. So you can scale as a soul nourished CEO, right? If you are around me and you listen to my stuff and you listen to anything I talk about my value of being soul nourished, right? So that I can pour from my overflow, that I can really lean into being able to support and be on mission from a place of nourishment. And so your growth and your scalability is not about doing more. If we think about it, right, we all know those people that really, really, really try hard, right? And yet it seems to struggle to scale. Yeah. They're doing all the things, right? They're tired, right? It's really starting to impact their body, right? We know that vision of a CEO that is like that. And yet also, I'm sure you can pull to mind, right? That version of someone where is out there that is working, right? They are doing the things, but they're not burnt out to a crisp, right? They actually seem to be loving life as well. And that is also possible, right? And they're scaling and they're scaling. And so I want to talk about that, why you could be the hardest working person in the room and yet still be stuck, right? And it's actually more about the way you're thinking, the way in which you've been wired, programmed, that you can actually have a rewiring, a reprogramming into one that serves you to be a soul nourished CEO. Okay. Because if we really check it, right, if you only had 1 hour a day to work on your business, I wonder what you would use that hour for, right? Because when I look at that with individuals, often they're not using that hour to be the most productive hour in terms of the hour that's going to give more back, right? It's gonna the tasks that are taking place in that hour are ones that are going to amplify. Yeah, in the academy that I run, our theme, right, is actually simplify to amplify. Yeah, because amplification doesn't come through stuffing more in, right? It actually looks at what you have available and making some shifts around that so that you can actually gain more out of what you have, you know? So that's what is necessary to shift into being a soul nourished CEO, right? When you're constantly in that go, 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 chase, 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 right? Push, 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 instead of leading from a place of clarity, from a place of nourishment, from a place of a nervous system that actually doesn't see your business as a threat, but sees your business as a vision, right? You are going to be able to lead differently, serve differently, and you'll get results differently. And so, if you've been in your business and you're running your business or you're working on your business, building your business, and you're recognizing that actually I'm struggling with brain fog, actually I'm struggling with anxiousness, actually I'm struggling with frustration, resentment, even maybe you're in a place where you now resent the vision, right? And all of that, that's not a strategy problem. The first actual problem that it is before we even look at strategy is there's a dysregulation problem, right? There's a shift in actually how you see yourself as the CEO and how you operate as the CEO. Okay. Um, and so listen, your body is giving you signs if you're operating from that wrong place. right? And wrong, I mean, by a place that's not serving you and the vision at its highest level, right? And so if your body is whispering or screaming out to you that it's not okay to keep going this way, right? It's a sign for you to lean in and be curious and make change. And that's what I wanted to bring to this conversation. Okay. And I'm going to deepen this conversation as well in our roundtable that we're hosting this week, which I'm really excited by. And so that's going to be a live discussion where we can play out how you can make shifts in your day-to-day CEO schedule so that you can lean into much more of what I'm talking about, because the soul nourished CEO will think differently, right? It's that shift into recognizing, actually, right? How do I move from a place of nourishment where I'm serving the mission? How do I even factor that into my life, right? But it's too that when I am working in the business, when I am doing the things, what are the things that I'm doing? Am I reverse engineering, right? The bigger goals, the target, right? Am I looking at actually where I'm heading and tracking backwards as to what tasks directly impact that, right? Or am I just making scattered efforts each day that don't seem to add up and line up to where I'm going? So it's really recognizing that as well. Like, how are you utilizing the time that you have? If you just had a limited number of time, right? Are you using that time in ways that directly impact revenue, right? Are you using that time that directly impacts your level of visibility, right? Of you being findable, your mission being findable? Are you using that time in terms of having effective leadership? Yeah. So are you using that time to ensure that you have scalability, right? In a way that does support you and your business. So that's really, really important to just reflect on that and think about, actually, the way in which I'm operating right now within my business, is it actually serving me, right? If you were to look back and like audit the last month of your business, right? Is it serving you? The way in which you're working, the way in which you're showing up, the way in which you are navigating it and amplifying it, is it serving you? And if it's not, you get to shift and change it, right? And that starts by really shifting the way you're doing things. And that's where I want to really invite you to this roundtable. Okay. The and the roundtable's free, by the way, right? So it's about you taking time out of what might feel like a very busy schedule already, but to make sure you're present so that you can shift things up, right? As a soul nourished CEO, you've got to really take of great importance the way in which you regulate your body, right? The way in which you think with your mind, the way in which you act, all of these things have got to be taken with some serious consideration, where you're not operating from a place of adrenaline, from a place of like fight, flight, do, right? What should I do? Push, push, right? You're not operating from a place of frazzled, burnt out. You're not operating from that space, but actually you are able to center yourself. You are actually able to create more capacity, more calmness within you so that you can operate from a different place, which will in turn help you make better decisions, quicker decisions, more effective decisions, all of this stuff. So it's not about grinding more, it's about aligning more, right? And with that, you get to show up with more conviction, with more clarity, with more certainty, right? That's the real win-win-win situation for you, your mission, and the people that you're there to serve. You know, what I'm going to dive into at this roundtable this week, Thursday, 2 p.m. UK time, right, is how you can structure your calendar differently, right? That serves you. Looking at different zones. You know, I don't wake up and react to my inbox. I don't wake up and I'm like, firefight. What's going on? Right? Or react to my to-do list. Yeah. I have zones, clearly mapped out zones within my week in which I know how to operate within them. And these are not just zones within the business time that I've allocated, but also in my home life, right? Yes, I work full time within my business, but it's not like I I I I don't work like all hours, right? Some people are in business and they've moved from doing a 9 till 5 to doing a 5 till 9, right? 5 a.m. till 9 p.m., right? Is what I'm talking about. And it's not cool, right? It's about actually you do get to live a life. I've got two little small little children and a relationship and a house that requires things to be done in it. Do you know what I mean? So the way in which I structure my calendar has got to serve me as well to be soul nourished, be able to serve the business, to be able to operate how it does, to be able to serve the clients so they continue to fly and flourish as they're doing, to be able to serve my family, to be able to serve my community needs, and all of these other things that go on in my life. And that gets to happen for you too, regardless of whether you're full-time in your business, part-time in your business, or whatever it might be at this stage right now. You get to operate from a different way. But it really starts by looking at what are these zones and how are they operating in your life, like the CEO zone, right? Every CEO needs a thinking space, so a space where they can vision, a space where they can make these high-level decisions, right? You know, revenue modeling, like the structure, the business structure, all of those things, right? Have you even got space for that? Yeah. Project zones is another zone that could be considered, right? Those bigger initiatives, maybe it's building out a rebrand or setting up a launch or whatever it might be, but that's a project zone. Yeah. Client fulfillment zone, right? Serving your clients. This is why I don't get why some people set themselves up in a way where they do one-to-one, back to back to back to back to back clients. I don't get how you can even possibly think about doing anything else within your business if you're just doing client fulfillment all day, every day, right? So client fulfillment zone is absolute priority zone, but it's also got a balance within the other zones as well. So you're not burnt out as well. Yeah. Um, and so there's client fulfillment zone. Content zone, right? That may be about visibility, where you might go out and speak, or strategic messaging, right? That's another piece. Soul nourishment zone. Yeah, to be a soul nourished CEO that operates from a place of a regulated nervous system that has capacity to hold and scale and build, right? Means that things like prayer and rest and meditating and journaling and exercise and connecting with nature and all of these things are not oh, I'll just make time for, hopefully, or like squeeze them in for 5 or 10 minutes, but like actually really recognizing that that supports me being the soul nourished CEO, where I can make decisions from a place of peace and not pressure, right? Family fun zone. Yeah, like when you think about like reflecting on your life, like imagine it's like your 90th birthday party or something, and you think back at your life, right? I want you to be able to think of all these fun, beautiful memories that you have with your family or with your friends or loved ones or whatever that might be. Not that they will get in the last minute scrapes of time, right? So thinking about that. And then there's your me zone, right? How do you look after yourself? How do you have fun? How do you tap into creativity, right? Where is your zone? Okay, so these zones will help you recognize that actually, let me look at how I'm living day to day, because life is now, right? Life is now. Life is not when you get to that next revenue goal that you have in your mind, right? Or when your business gets to X level, right? Like life is actually happening now. Yeah, time is something none of us should play with in terms of um recognizing how long we have. We just don't know, right? So life has got to be now. And so these zones, which I'm going to go through with you in more detail in the roundtable coming up this week, so that you can really look at your life as it is now and make some shifts to change it in one that serves you, your family, your vision, right? It's not about managing zones because, oh, I just need to move my calendar around. It's about actually, how do I look at how I operate my day to day so that I can shift into a way that supports me, my body, right? The vision that God has gifted me, where I get to operate and navigate within that in a more powerful and effective way. That's what matters. Yeah. I think sometimes there is just a level of generational thinking that has been handed down, that actually hustle, work hard, right? Always be on the grind is the way in which things need to be done. And that actually you can't stop, you can't rest, right? But ease, rest, right? Peace is not the enemy of success, right? It's the foundation of it. And we have to be prepared to drop some of the ways in which maybe you've seen your family members, right? Mother, father, grandparents do things that you don't need to operate in that way, right? Where they had to just continually grind and grind and grind, and that actually they don't even know how to sit and rest. They feel anxious in that space, right? I want you to be able to be in that space and be able to enjoy that. And I'm not saying that you don't need to do things. Of course, there are things to be done within your vision, within your mission, within your business, right? But it's how you operate in the whole entirety of your day-to-days. Okay. So I hope this episode has served you greatly. All right. I don't want your business to feel like a never ending to do list where you're just pushing, racing. You feel like you need another planner. If I could just get another planner, if I could just master the art of time. Right. It's about creating a system in your business that supports the God given vision that you have been gifted, that you can do. It's just about redefining your relationship with your mission, with your vision, with yourself, right? With your calendar. And that's what I want to help you with in this week's Business Roundtable. So if you can be there live, join us, okay? It's going to be great. I'm excited. It's absolutely free to attend. You will get an email of all the information into your inbox on how to jump into the Zoom room. If you're not on our email list, send us an email at team@drtalene.com and we will add you so that you can get details of the roundtable discussion. All right. So I want you to have a soul nourished CEO mindset and shift your business forward from that place. And I really hope this episode serves you to be able to do that. Okay. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.